If you died a horrible death and came back to life, what would you do? You've returned from beyond the grave and will be forced to hunt horrifying aliens in countless death games, and you can't escape. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the death games in Gantz. This kid here has no idea that he is about to die. Kei over here is just another Japanese youngster hoping to find a job. When down in the subway, he notices someone familiar in the distance. In between the crowds, Kei notices this kid Kato, an old school friend he hasn't seen in years, and he and Kato wait for the incoming train. Little do they both know that this train will be the death of both of them. Suddenly, someone near Kato collapses onto the train tracks, and goody two-shoes Kato rushes down like a knight in shining armor to save him, but he can't get up, and the train is coming. Kei looks on in sheer awkwardness as he tries to avoid being spotted, but tough shit, cause Kato then spots Kei, prompting an awkward staring contest for a few seconds as he watches Kato save this man from certain death. But then, the roaring engine of Japan's metro comes charging down the tracks and Kato can't get up. So Kei quickly goes to help poor Kato, but in the process gets dragged down by accident onto the tracks until both of their lips meet to kiss the train dead. Okay, this was a brutal mistake. These kids waited around for too long and that's what got them killed. Considering that they're standing on train tracks, they should be actively trying to escape as soon as possible instead of sitting around and talking about what to do. Their very first mistake was not realizing that there's an emergency compartment hidden under the tracks of every train station in the city of Tokyo. Even if they were unable to climb because of how difficult it is to get up, we can clearly see that there's a small gap that two people could fit in right to the side of them. Look, it's understandable that they might be freaking the hell out because of this high-speed train coming towards them, but let's stay calm, folks. We need to stay alive. Tokyo has a high rate of train-related deaths in the past few decades. Because of this, safety measures have been enhanced by the metropolitan authorities to make sure these incidents become a few and far between thing. However, there is another way that we could escape this situation relatively unscathed, if we're willing to sacrifice our new old friend here. Since he brought me into this situation, I would quickly try to convince him to let me use him as a human trampoline to push me up into the air and over the train ledge. Now, whether or not our friend here is going to survive is a tricky question, but that's not our problem anymore, now is it? Kei and Kato suddenly wake up to find themselves in a barren room, washed over by the white lights of this seemingly nefarious apartment. And they're not alone. And in front of them sits other confused and terrified individuals who also don't know how they got there. The two boys then turn around to find an unknown black sphere in the middle of the room. They then investigate the rest of the apartment to find themselves trapped inside with all the doors and windows locked. Kei and Kato try and piece the puzzles together, and they realize that they aren't the only ones who seemingly just died, because everyone else in this room came here after suddenly dying in random ways, and no one knows anything. Just then, this black sphere interrupts everyone by emitting what appears to be the body of a young girl, as she seemingly fizzles into existence out of thin air, and she plops right onto Kei's lap, freaking him the hell out, and not in a good way. The room joins in on the puzzled reactions as this girl wakes up, and we find out her name is Kishimoto. But just then, a sinister anthem begins to roar from within the black sphere, captivating everyone in the room. Digital text then begins to appear on the sphere that reads to everyone in this room that their old lives are gone, and that this strange black orb will decide how to use their new lives. And then it begins to display a horrifying image of a strange beast that this sphere wants them to go kill. Right before its interior pops open, displaying an array of high-tech weaponry, along with a strange, sleeping man inside the sphere itself. And inside, along with all of this, cases containing suits with all of their names on it. And so the group, with more questions than answers, begins suiting up, and Kei notices that this one kid, Creepy Face, is seemingly already suited up and seems way more calm than the rest of the group here. But he doesn't have time to dwell on it because this guy starts fizzling out of existence, and the rest of the gang begins freaking out, one by one, following this guy's lead as they all disappear from existence, right into this random alley. However, this creepy-haired kid finally spills the beans and tells everyone that they all got here through hypnosis, and that he's the son of the producer of this holographic TV show that they're all in, saying that if they complete the mission, they'll all win 100 million yen as a reward. But something is off, and Kei doesn't trust him for 1 second. Okay, something isn't right here. There's no way that this creepy-faced kid, what he's saying is true. Because up until now, the only VR-type technology out there for public use has been through holographic capabilities represented through modern AR. What we saw with Princess Leia as a holograph back in Star Wars is largely something out of the realm of modern science still. Which means there's no way that humans can produce the perception of holograms in standard non-modified atmospheric air without the presence of some type of headset. Even the famous hologram of Tupac Shakur on the stage was in fact not a hologram, but was actually a 2D image projected onto an angled piece of glass, which was then projected onto a transparent screen along with the help of a projector. The point is that we're out in the open and we ain't wearing no Google glasses, which means there's no possible way that this creepy-faced kid, what he's saying is in fact true. But let's say that it was. Then that means whoever put us in this virtual reality clearly has the technological and financial capabilities to put us in a virtual world where we cannot trust our own senses, and that is terrifying. The one thing that we can take away from all of this is Creepy-Face Kid himself, because when we arrived into that room, he was the only one who was already suited up, and the only one who had any explanation at all as to what was going on. And he's the only one who exhibited the confidence to spew that lie. If this really was a competitive match with 100 million yen on the line, then why would he give away the objective willy-nilly? Why would he say anything at all? Saying nothing would have given him a better shot at winning the money, right? Something is going on with Creepy-Face Kid, because he seems to know something that we don't, which is why I would keep a close eye on him and his actions, because us looking out for him actually means that we are looking after ourselves in the process. The group of lost players then notice something strange in the distance watching them, something green and not quite human, and also holding a green onion. Creepy-Face Kid then points out that that little green abomination is the target, and that whoever catches it within 20 minutes wins, causing the entire group of money-hungry players to hunt down their target. The group catches up to this strange green alien, and it begins to offer its green onion to the group. But they don't give two shits about no green onions, as they lick their lips in anticipation while they prepare to kill this creature. But suddenly, this sneaky green little bastard slips away right over the fence as he jumps over this fence like a superhuman, forcing the gang to continue the chase, following him down the street, right past our unbothered main heroes, and right into this dingy garage. The group of players have finally managed to corner this green onion, knowing that their actions within the next few minutes will change their lives and their fate forever. The green onion head of an alien begs to be spared as it offers its green onions again as a token of friendship, but it's no use. These players want blood, and they ready their arcade-looking weaponry with no idea how it works, and this dude takes a shot and nothing. The gang wonders if their weapons are broken, but then suddenly an explosion erupts from within the green alien as his entire arm is blasted off of his body, angering this little green alien and making it dangerously handsy with our players, causing the group to get pissed off as this time they all fire simultaneously at this monster, causing its body to savagely get blasted apart as its guts spray all over the entire room. And this guy, this sicko, he likes what he sees and fires another shot before Kato angrily tries to stop him. But suddenly their problems get about 7 feet bigger because right behind them is another alien, and this one looks like the green onion's older brother, and he looks pissed. The money-hungry gang of idiots stand in front of it paralyzed as hell, and this terrifying monster towers over our unlucky players as they prepare to battle or die. But this Yakuza wannabe is too much of a stud to give a shit and decides to confront this beast head on. Suddenly, he hears a swift crack erupt from below him, and he looks down to his leg in sheer horror. Shock quickly sets in for our gangster stud as he collapses in front of this monster, right as the beast grabs his skull and lifts him up into the air. The group begins to freak out right as they blast off a couple of rounds at this horrifying monster, but they can't land a single shot, as this creature uses Yakuza stud as a meat shield, blocking all of the shots with terrifying ease. Okay, this is terrifying, but in all fairness, they should have seen the signs. If we follow the fact that these matches categorize themselves as games, then that means that these death games would likely follow some semblance of game structure, such as the inclusion of boss battles, found within almost all types of games in various genres, with the structure of boss battles usually being found at the end of each sector, just as when the intensity within the game rises to its peak, followed by the defeat of the boss, at which the intensity will usually die down for a bit. After hunting the little green green onion alien. It was clearly an easy enemy to defeat, and it's no wonder that the first enemy for the first game for our players was the easiest one, meaning that the gang could have stopped to maybe think about this for a minute, that this was a game. How many enemies would they have to hunt before the difficulty went up? And how many enemies would they have to hunt within the first game before harder, more terrifying enemies show up? This is why I would have stopped and maybe would have tried to capture the little green onion and then figure out our next step, and I wouldn't have been as hasty as they were. And from the looks of his cute little sweet weird face, this little green onion baby was clearly a child, which means that it's safe to say that what we're up against now would be the parent, or at least a really pissed off older relative of our now deceased onion friend. Because what the gang is up against now is a more mature green onion alien, and from what we have just witnessed, this creature has the ability to produce razor-sharp claws from his hands that can obviously maim and kill people right here on the spot. And this creature's offensive abilities means that we're better off fighting him in an open space and not within an enclosed area such as this one. This thing is currently carrying one of the other players and using him as a freaking meat shield of sorts, and that's awesome, which means that we have no way of stopping him right here. So if I'm K, I'd simply use Glasses Guy in front of me as my own shield of meat and push him right at this angry green onion creature as a distraction before running behind him and out of the garage entirely. Once out in the open, we'll have a better shot at killing him without having to be so ridiculously close to his claws. And besides, this guy has shown himself to be a rather physically weak individual. So I say for the greater good, he should do the noble cause of sacrificing himself for us, right? His death is the best bet in getting out of here alive. The Yakuza wannabe guy suddenly explodes, sending his tender organs everywhere. This alien monster is out for blood, and everyone here is about to die a brutal death, and they know it. Elsewhere, Kei walks nearby as he hears the screams of petrified victims, causing him to check out the same garage as our alien friend, just as a blood-covered Kato stands there, practically shitting bricks. Corpses of some of the players encircle this green demon as it slowly pushes them out into the alley, ready to spill more blood. But then, in comes Kishimoto flying wild and taking shots, whipping this horrifying monster right into the concrete slab nearby. But she ain't prepared for shit, as her corner eye notices the corpse-filled garage in front of her, along with a paralyzed and stricken Kato. Just then, this green beast rises back up, taking sudden swings at Kishimoto and Kei, making Kishimoto realize that her suit protected her, and making Kei realize that the suit is the key to surviving. Kei whips the green monster on the head to no effect, pissing off our alien friend, who roars just as Kei prepares to die himself. Though suddenly the snapping and whipping of an alien round pierces through the air and ties up our alien friend, right as Creepy Face Guy fizzles into existence thanks to his invisibility suit. I want one. Looks like that little shit was hiding and watching the whole time. Creepy Face Kid then offers for Kei to kill this captured monster, but he's too much of a goody two-shoes to take the shot and chokes, forcing Creepy Face Kid to handle it himself, and he shoots this beast right in front of them, causing the game to suddenly end. And the group appears back in the same room as before, and there, Creepy Face Kid divulges the name of the mysterious black sphere, Gantz. Just then, this Glasses Guy comes back to join the group, showing us that no matter how far on the brink of death someone is, if they survive the round, they'll come back fully healed after the game ends. Gantz then relays score points for everybody on the screen as Kei demands to know what is going on, forcing Creepy Face Kid to reveal that they are here to stop an alien invasion from attacking Earth, and that except for him, this is the first time that he's seen anyone survive more than a single round within Gantz. And this news freaks Kei out, who picks up his pistol and directs it right at Creepy Kid's sweet face, before Kei suddenly is teleported back to his room, almost as if it were a dream. Holy crap, this is insane. But here's the thing, we don't know if what just happened was real, because like I said, technology up until this point that we know of has not developed tech with the capabilities to make everything around us into a perfect realistic Star Trek holodeck. And to add to that, we just woke up in our bed with no memory of how we got here, nor do we remember how we got to that empty room either. So really, we're at a loss for words, and throw in aliens into the mix, which means there's a pretty good chance that whatever happened was just a terrifying dream. But here's the thing, this wasn't any old dream, because we saw a long-lost friend from school who we haven't seen in years, which is why, to be safe, I would follow up on all possible leads, just on the off chance that whatever happened really did happen. Because how many times have we heard of alien encounters in the news since this stuff started being reported back in the 60s? A lot. Which means statistically it's not crazy to think that we could be one of the few people who's just experienced an alien encounter. Now if this is the case, then our only chance of finding out what's going on will be making sure our timeline within the last 24 hours matches that of the people within the game, if we can find them in real life. Because if we can find even one of our teammates, this will clear up everything in minutes, because they'll either think we're nuts, or will probably give us a hug and be glad that someone else actually believes their crazy alien hunting story. In this instance, we have our long-lost friend Kato, who Kei mentions that they went to the same school together. So in this case, I would start there and begin by finding him either through the school's directory or by going online and using social media to identify the locations of his hangouts. And all of this will give us a better shot at finding him before the next game starts, if we start looking right now. Kei wakes up confused as all hell, not knowing what in the world just happened. But he knows someone who might have some answers, his old buddy Kato, forcing Kei to comb through the Japanese phone books looking for his long-lost friend and his address. Finding the winning ticket, Kei rushes out, hoping that whatever is going on has ended for good. Kei later reaches Kato's old address, but realizes that nothing is there. Then again, Kato's address is from 10 years ago, making Kei to be even more stumped and lost for answers than ever, forcing him to head back home in idiotic shame. But on the way there, he passes by an alley and notices something horrifying. It's the same alley from last night, and the same dingy garage from before, except its blood-stained walls are nowhere to be seen, which means that whatever happened last night could have been real. But Kei's crush sure as shit is real, as he bumps into her right then and there, and he spots her Gantz suit showing from her bag, along with Kato's jacket that she wore back in Gantz, making it even harder to ignore that what happened last night was real. But with no blood-stained walls and no Kato, the gang disappointedly calls it a day, and Kei prepares to walk Kishimoto home like a gentleman. Right. But Kishimoto then asks the most horrifying thing ever. Most horrifyingly awesome thing ever, that is, as she asks Kei if she can stay with him tonight, as she has no place to live, thanks to an angry ex-boyfriend who just kicked her out, making his loss Kei's gain as he tries to play it cool, and the duo heads back to his apartment, where some very expected G-rated action happens, as in nothing happens, as in Kishimoto steals Kei's bed before the tired and confused duo pass out in awkward silence. Bummer. But on the other side of town, Kato wakes up from a nightmare just before telling his little brother to head back to bed, not realizing that whatever happened to him and the others is about to happen again, because just then half of his face begins disappearing just as before, with his body fizzling back out and right back into the same room as everyone else, right into the room with Gantz. As Kei, Kato, and Kishimoto look on in sheer terror at each other and all of the newcomers in the room, including a kid, his grandma, glasses guy, and some other random people looking just as confused as Kei and Kato were when they first died, along with creepy face kid in the background looking just as predatory as ever. Okay, this confirms the fact that this is in fact happening, folks, and that this is not a dream, which means we are screwed. And judging from the last time, we have less than 4 minutes until we get teleported into the next horrifying death game. But this time we're not the confused ones, because we have this dude, a grandma, her kid. I mean, we have some real meat shield options. But let's be honest, creepy kid won't tell on us, and he's really the only one from the first game who knows what's going on. Which means for now, he's on the same side as us, and the new people in this room don't look too smart either. Suckers. So I would pull a page right out of this bastard's book and tell the rest of the players that we're in a holographic game funded by neuroscientists to test out the concept of fear, using high-tech implanted chips, and that whatever we're about to see within the game isn't real. Whatever pain we experience isn't real, however real it might feel. Remember, I don't think these people are that smart, so this flat-out lie I think should be just enough to do its job. The fact is that we can use these people's gullibility, I'm looking at this grandma, to our advantage and make them act as our unofficial meat shields that I talked about earlier, once the game begins. I'd also begin to keep these people distracted and keep our Gantz suits tucked inside our briefcases until the game begins. This way, when we put our suits on, the other people won't have a suit to worry about, since they won't have one, because we need these noobs powerless and dependent on us, because the last thing we need for them is to get pissed off at us and start taking superhuman potshots at us in their Gantz suits, because screw that idea, I don't like it. Creepy face kid then sadistically says that no matter where they are in the world, Gantz will always find them and bring them back to play more death games. The gang looks in sheer horror, while one by one they begin to disappear, and Kei and Kato quickly try to arm the rest of the group, while this grandma and and Kid get separated upon arrival into this death arena and end up bumping into this horrifying robotic alien, and it walks right up to these innocent folks and opens its mouth, revealing a bright light from within as it prepares to murder them right here and now. All the while this innocent child and sweet old lady look on in sheer helplessness. Nearby, Kay finally appears into the arena parking lot, but comes face to face with something straight out of a horror film. It's the grandma and boy, or their corpses, who lay there like abandoned rag dolls, dead on the street. It's horrifying. Just then, he sees the infamous murder creature standing opposite of him, ready for a showdown to the death. Standing opposite of Kay is his next target, the Tanaka alien. Okay, I guess they made this monster different than the one in the anime, which we also did a video on, which you can check out up in the corner here. But this robot in the anime is actually a suit that houses the most insane thing ever inside, a bird. As in an actual alien bird known as the Tanaka alien, a race of freakishly huge birds that use that suit in front of us right here as some sort of a spacesuit to be able to breathe inside Earth's atmosphere. Like, no joke, there's an actual bird inside of that robot, people, I'm not kidding. And while this dude looks a little different than in the anime, I'm willing to bet that his suit works pretty much the same way. And this type of info is invaluable to us because this means that without their suit, they're screwed. However, their main attack is a high-pitched supersonic blast emitted from their mouth that can cause hemorrhaging from the eyes and ears, as in serious bleeding. And while we do have firearms, they likely wouldn't do so well at long range due to this alien creature's agility and ability to dodge attacks at high speeds. This means that our best bet would be to use the team that we have and actually use them, and not for just meat shields, darn it, in order to actually go up against this creature from different angles. If I'm Kay, I would advise all members to go at this beast from all angles simultaneously while it tries to take us all down. And in doing so, we'll be able to keep it distracted until one of us eventually closes the gap and gets right in its face. Because remember, without their suit, the alien from within can't last very long in our environment, and it will then die shortly thereafter. This means using our suit's heightened abilities, we could superhumanly squeeze the shit right out of it until the suit gets damaged enough to the point where the creature will have to exit the suit of its own sheer will. Because let's be honest, who would want to stay inside a crushed astronaut suit? Not me. So let us use that to our advantage. Kay, like a freaking idiot, just stands there and fires a shot at the Tanaka alien, while pretty much receiving this alien's blast head on. Suddenly, the Tanaka alien's face shakes at a frightening speed and then launches a blast into nothing until it connects with Creepy Face Kid in the distance. The Tanaka alien knew where he was despite him being invisible. The Tanaka alien rises fast into the air and dive bombs headfirst into Creepy Face Kid, plunging him down into the basement parking lot, and he proceeds to beat the shit out of him while the rest of the gang fizzles into existence. But Kato is a stud cut above the rest and jumps down onto the Tanaka alien right before it kills Creepy Face Kid, and Kato squeezes the life out of the alien, getting some help from his super suit, causing this creature to go down for the count. Kay rushes over to Creepy Face Kid as his shattered voice mutters for Kay to save him when he eventually gets 100 points, but Kay has no clue as to what the hell he's talking about, as Creepy Face Kid finally kicks the bucket. Suddenly, however, the Tanaka alien blasts up with more gusto than a bull on Red Bull, knocking Kato back as he tries to take pot shots at Kishimoto. Kato quickly swings back around to protect her and gets the shit kicked out of him instead, with Kato himself getting forced mouth to mouth and is about to have his head blasted off right before Kishimoto knocks this alien's face off with some last-minute sultry moves. But this creature is too damn powerful and knocks everyone back just as Kay learns how to use his supersuit and gives this alien a taste of his own medicine, beating the alien down into a car as the two intimately duke it out, until the alien grabs Kay's face and is about to blast his face off when Kay suddenly grabs his gun from the car floor and shoves his gun into the alien's mouth and fires, causing a sudden explosion to erupt from the car itself, killing the alien and winning the game, as the gang and Kay, nearly on the brink of death, appear back in front of Gantz, good as new. But he doesn't have time to play around and demands to know what happens when someone gets 100 points, and that's when Gantz shows him the 100-point menu, showing two options for players to choose from that list should they ever reach that many points. Option 1, gain your freedom. Option 2, bring someone who died from within a Gantz game back to life, just as everyone then teleports back to their old lives. However, this time, Kay, already wearing his suit, has some ideas and begins training with his suit in the real world, vowing to get stronger for the next time, when the next game inevitably summons him back. Elsewhere at Kato's shack of an apartment, he sees on the news that the explosion that happened last night in Gantz was real, and he quickly realizes that the world is going to shit, that it's up to him and Gantz to stop them. And our three heroes ready themselves mentally for the next game. And sure enough, the next game arrives and summons them accordingly, this time with fresh meat, as our veteran trio head into the game with their wits about them, and Gantz gives them their next target. The gang gets teleported to this place, a sinister-looking museum, just as this new pops off on one statue, causing the one right next to it to come to life. Okay, this is insanely horrifying. For this encounter, we lack any prior knowledge on what the hell this thing is, but unlike the Tanaka alien or the green onion alien, this thing seems to lack the capabilities to perform any longer range attacks on us, whether that be in the form of energy blasts or retractable claws like our good old green onion friend here, which means we may have a chance. And in this case, I would continue to stay out in the open so we don't get trapped in the corner of the wall where this monster's brute force strength would surely have an upper hand on us. Keeping a distance will be key for us to have the upper hand. From the looks of things, at least one of them has something more than the standard Gantz X gun, which is a small handgun-sized weapon that does better at close-range encounters. This guy, yeah, this one, is carrying an X shotgun, which is similar to the X gun in almost every way, except when it comes to long distance, it has a higher accuracy that can be fired in the hands of someone proficient from over 1 kilometer away. This is why we need to get this guy out from under this creature's legs, literally, and get him to a safe distance from which he'll be able to take a shot more effectively, because a creature of this size makes me suspect that a simple shot from the X-gun won't do much. If I was Kei or Kato, I'd snag the X-gun shotgun for myself and order the rest of my comrades to begin distracting this beast with additional suppressing fire to keep him at bay, while we ready up our shot from a safer distance. The whole gang is dead as everyone freaks the hell out and scurries like rats, desperate to survive just one more day, with this monk and this chick heading inside, leaving Kei pretty much all by himself against this ugly beast, right as this monster tries taking shots at anyone he can get his hands on. And it's about to stomp on this one dude until his whole leg explodes thanks to some good old alien rounds provided by Kato, just as Kei readies his badass pistol, now turned rifle, right at this abomination, causing it to explode right here and now. But Kishimoto doesn't have time to celebrate, as she then watches cocky Kei declare to Kato that he's pretty much the bigger Chad and can handle everything that Gantz throws at him. But something is not right, because they haven't teleported back to Gantz yet, which means this death game isn't over, not by a long shot. And they're so right, because what awaits them is truly more horrifying than they could ever imagine, and it will cost them everyone. Back inside, this scared monk hides from the action outside and thinks he's safe. But no one is safe in Gantz, just as he notices something strange from across this statue-filled room. But he just thinks he's hallucinating as he continues to pray to his gods, not realizing that he's about to face a god right now. He then opens his eyes again and notices the most horrifying thing standing right in front of him, the true enemy of Gantz, this bronzed beast. And right outside those horrifying doors stands this girl as she tries to see from inside if the horrors outside are over, and she too gets the bright idea to go inside that treacherous room, closing the doors on what might as well be her valuable life. Back outside, Kei and Kato stand there as they try to figure out what the hell is going on, just as they suddenly hear the opening of the museum door, revealing a battle-torn player as she collapses in front of them. Kei then realizes that their horror show isn't over, as he and the gang cautiously comb through the insides of this sinister atrium, aiming their sights on the site of their final battleground, of which they slowly enter, only to see the horrifying corpse of the monk from earlier, or what's left of him, causing their fight or flight instincts to go off from within their gut, knowing what we know, that they're screwed. Right as Kato realizes what he sees, a 1,000-armed Buddha, bringing Kei to his knees and disarming him in an instant. Okay, this is a little crazy and kind of horrifying at the same time, especially when we consider that unlike the rest of the aliens that we fought so far, we don't know anything about this creature, except for whatever few visual similarities that it shares with the actual 1,000-armed deity in real life, known in Himalayan Buddhism. But that's pretty much where the similarities end, folks, and with no other information given to us by Gantz, we're kind of at a huge disadvantage. However, Gantz is no idiot, presumably, and so we should trust that the weapons it's provided for us should work if we can actually land a shot, because from what we've seen, this alien has superhuman speed and is lethal at close distances, which doesn't take a genius to figure out. I mean, have you seen how many arms it's got? But at this point, what we can use is the power of teamwork, or more specifically teamwork that proceeds into backstabbing, because in reality it's every man for himself. And so if I was Kei, I would lie to Kato and tell him to distract this alien with his sword at close range, along with Kishimoto, while I try and line up to take a shot from a distance. Now what's brilliant about this, and different from before, is that with Kato fighting alongside with Kishimoto, from what we know of how Kishimoto feels for Kato, judging from her love stares throughout the entire movie, this would make her a lot more susceptible to making sure that she protects Kato at all costs. And if he gets cut, which he probably will, let's be honest, then that'll make Kishimoto all the more inclined to go crazy and fight this alien even harder. That is the power of love, my friends, and this is what will make her the perfect distraction to keep this alien busy while we take it out from a distance. And if they die at the end, meh, at least we live. This thousand-armed god then lays down attrition with a bombardment of sword upon a disarmed Kei as he crawls to safety, but not without some serious scratches, leaving him crippled enough to tag team in Kato, but not before a sweet bro session happens between the two, helping to fuel the rage within Kato and have him rise back up to tackle this monster head-on, entering a now empty room with nothing but some clues left behind as to where this horrifying monster could be. Suddenly it pops up from behind him, slashing the glass in front of Kei and almost taking an eye out in the process. And now the two stand ready to duel mano a mano. The thousand-armed Buddha then lets out a cold whisper of anger-filled words, saying they killed its friends and that it will have revenge upon all of them, sending a shiver up and down Kato's arm, because he knows what he's in for. Just then, a loud explosion erupts in front of Kei as the monster disappears, right as Kishimoto stands with her smoking gun yelling for Kei to run, just as she gets knocked down and disarmed by the monster. The brawn beast approaches her menacingly, but that's when Kato charges up with his sword like Kirito with his overpowered dual blades, sending in precision strikes like a surgeon until he gets pummeled back hard. Right then, the bronzed monster charges up to finish the job, forcing Kishimoto to sacrifice herself for Kato, and her limp corpse falls down to the floor, causing a feeble Kato to hold her closely and cue the obligatory attempt at love before dying scene just as she kicks the bucket in his arms. But this cutesy wannabe couple is enough to fuel Kato with enough chutzpah to overcome his pain, and he charges back in to fight this demon a final time, and a final time it proves to be for him, just as he gets stabbed right in front of a helpless Kei, throwing his corpse in front of his best friend, making this the last straw for Kei. The feeble Kei then grabs his fallen comrade's sword and attacks this creature for a final time, but it's hopeless as it sends Kei back yet again, making him take a different approach, like with this gun, making him jump in the air as the Buddha's swords graze his skin. And Superman jumps over this thing and G.I. Joe rolls right over onto his weapon as he rolls and arms himself with his sights set on this thousand-armed demon. It's done, and Kei fires off a round, but this thing deflects it, resulting in an explosion, and this creature reveals a trump card up its sleeve, this mini statue of itself, as this Buddha demon drops it right down past Kei, as he lays witness to what horrifyingly happens next. This little statue begins to twitch as its little form begins to expand into something straight out of a horror movie, forcing Kei to get some distance from it, but it's no use. The other players outside look in awe and terror as this monster practically ascends from hell, forcing a now much tinier Kei to scurry back a smidge as he prepares for the final showdown. Okay, talk about our worst nightmare. And add to that, our worst enemy is now a billion times larger, and at this point we have little option, because we clearly can't outrun this thing. But our best bet at this point would be, again, say it with me now folks, teamwork makes the dream work. Time is ticking and a ton of our teammates are dead, but we do have a few friends left alive, as we can clearly see. So I would order these two players to run within the museum itself and make this Godzilla alien chase them throughout the entire structure, destroying everything in its sight as it tries to kill them. Then while it does this, if I'm Kei, I would try to get up close and personal to this giant alien's head for a closer shot at it, because I don't see any X shotgun anywhere anymore, which means all we got left is our little X gun, and we risk that alien blocking our shots with its hands if we try and fire it from too far of a distance. This is why we need to get in close. This gigantic statue then Hulk smashes Kei, causing him to run for his life like a squirrel to his nut, and he sees in the distance Kato. He's alive, and they bro telepathy one another to come up with a last-minute plan, having Kei here run up into the Buddha's fist as Kato fires his gun, causing Kei to slip out and continue running forward up this monster's body, getting head-butted back down and coming face to face with this horrifying creature. Just then, Kei Superman jumps right into the monster's mouth before he blasts this beast's insides, and it explodes everywhere. Right then, K comes out of the storm like a stud and sees his best friend right before he too kicks the bucket, causing K to suddenly appear back in the room with Gantz and the rest of the survivors, with K then realizing that his best friend isn't back yet, and his score tally tops off at 13, just as Gantz reveals that his fallen bro is trapped within Gantz. But you don't simply stop being a bro, and so with 87 more points to go, K then vows to fight as many alien bastards as it'll take to rescue his best bro and maybe Kishimoto one day. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, let us know what you like and what you didn't like, and also don't forget to check out our How to Be playlist and our social media.